So here we are next to Willow Bend Caravan Park, also quite near Tarragon Lodge, on Gulpa Creek. Now, Gulpa Creek is quite a bit narrower than the Murray, but it's not a creek in the normal sense that you would think. It's actually flowing away from the river. Most people think of creeks, when they think of creeks, they think of places that flow into rivers. This creek actually flows away from a river. This structure here is called a regulator, and regulators exist on these kind of creeks which flow away from a river, so they're called distributaries rather than tributaries. They exist to control the amount of water that's flowing into the forest. So traditionally they have been used by foresters and land managers to water the forest. So they've been using these channels as massive irrigation channels. So to allow water, they lift those gates up there, and you can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4 gates, and there is an electric winch on each one, so they can be remotely controlled. You can see the antenna, that's that thing that looks like an upside down Milo tin, and they can open those gates to allow more or less water through. You can see that the river gets quite a bit higher. That's a strand line where the water has been up to recently. Okay, now this structure here is called a fish ladder. So it runs all the way around the regulator from the upstream side, and you can hear the water gurgling, down to the downstream side, and it has its own gate. Now it is mostly open. You can hear that water running through here. And this allows fish a way around those gates when they are closed. And you can actually see these metal arms going down. They're parallel, and the water is sped up because it gets narrowed right down. It actually flows faster than the current. Now the veins do two things. They both narrow the stream and accelerate it, and they allow place for the small fish to rest while swimming up against that current. Of course, big fish also need a rest. There are these breakout zones. This is a breakout zone. So big fish can come in here in the still water and rest while it's swimming up against the current. So again, you can see this is one of those areas where the current flows nice and fast, and another breakout zone here. And you can actually see the way the concrete is designed. They can have a rest here. The veins start again. You can see them through there. And then the outlet is right up here near the gates. Now, they're designed that the fastest water normally would flow out of here. Now, the native fish, when they're swimming upstream, look for the fastest water. You can see the water here pushing against the gate, actually flowing back against those. So there's actually a fish swimming around there now. The fish look for that fast water because they're trying to find a way through. So for them, the fast water indicates a way past snags. So why is it important for fish to be able to swim around these structures? You would think so long as they have water, that's okay. But the reason why is that the fish that live in the river channel like to come into the forest to breed. And these creeks are the way they use to get both in and out. So they come in from the Murray River, which we were at just before, along these creeks and into the smaller and smaller streams until you get to the billabongs, where there are all sorts of frogs and macroinvertebrates and insects for the fish to feed on. So those small fish have a safe place with a reliable food source away from the big predators of the river. When the fish have finished laying their eggs, or the young are old enough that they can be left to their own, the adults swim back up through these channels, out here and into the river again. So that's why we have these fish ladders, and they are now at every major regulator along the river and along every along the distributaries, forest distributaries, and along at every major weir along the River Murray. And this has seen an increase in the number of cod and other native fish in our rivers, and an example of how understanding how the environment works can lead to better solutions for all.